Hello and welcome to Travel Radio Podcast. I am your host, Megan Chappa, and today is another video edition of Travel Radio Podcast. So if you're listening and you want to click into the show notes, there will be a link there where you can watch this on YouTube. And today is another part of our Culture Vulture deep dive into Mexico series that is making an attempt to get people off of the resort properties and deeper into Mexico to explore the cultural richness, the people, the heritage, all the things that make our southernmost neighbor wonderful. And to help me with that, I have a brand new guest today. Welcome to the podcast, Brandon Berkson. Brandon, would you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. First off, Megan, thank you so much for having me. I love the podcast and I am obsessed with Mexico. So this is perfect. My favorite place in the world. So, yeah, my name is Brandon Berkson. I am a travel and hotel enthusiast, just like everyone who is listening here, just like you.
Mm-hmm.
Time between New York City and San Diego, where I grew up. And I'm the founder of Hotels Above Par. And what I describe Hotels Above Par as is an expert curated guide with under 2 minute articles for the hip traveler who is short on time. So, what's that mean?
Nice.
We're known for our around 300 word articles, which are in their entirety posted as an Instagram caption on our website and newsletter. And, thus far, we've had a great range of travel journalists write for us, including Catherine Parker Magyar and Katie Spratt Joyce, who I know appeared on this podcast. Love them.
Yes.
Uh, that's pretty much the gist of my background and how it relates to Hotels Above Par and a bit of a brief on the company.
Yeah, and the website is simply Hotels Above Par. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. If not, you can just click through. It's also the show notes. But it is a website that's going to make you want to travel. The pictures are gorgeous, and it's just the perfect snippet and amount of information to get you like dreaming of your next destination. But before we get into where we're going to speak about today, and I'll let you introduce that in a minute, can you give us some information of how you got into this? What is your background in the hotel and tourism industry? Because on this podcast, I'd like to have credentialed guests in some capacity. They may not be, directly working in, tourism. They might be a historian, archaeologist, author. But on this podcast, the hopes is that it's going to be a resource. And so, if you would give us your background, I'd love to share your credentials with people.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the kind words about the site. I'm so happy to have you as a reader. So, I've always wanted to work with travel and hotels. Since I was a kid, I've always loved them. Some boys wanted to play sports. I was more interested in researching hotels on the internet. I also forced my brother to play hotel with me way more than he would have liked. Um, was hoping that we would play baseball or something, but little did he know that we were only going to play hotel that day.
And
I
he's
would
thankful now, right?
and he's thankful, yes. So now he gets free hotel stays if we go somewhere, in exchange for coverage for hotels above par. So he's really fortunate about that. That nobody went to that. Nobody took that. I didn't take the baseball or football route because now it's benefiting him. So my first job in tourism was in or with hotels was in San Francisco, where I worked as a bellboy and front desk associate at a boutique property, which
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved. This was my first foray into really the hotel world. I had a uniform and everything, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
on how I stared at the cart when I was bringing people's baggage up, when at the front desk. I had my routine. I absolutely loved it. And I'm a people person. I love meeting new people. And my love language is giving people recommendations in different cities that I love, places that I love. So I was able to do that there, and it was such an amazing experience. Following that, I did schooling in Paris, and I worked at an agency there. I then moved to London, where I was working at a hospitality PR firm. And following that, my most recent position was at a PR agent, a travel PR firm, which in New York and London, I was at their New York office, and we worked with a range of hotels. It was an amazing job. I worked with Nobu Hotels and Waldorf Astoria, so
Mm-hmm.
that was a nice uh, delve into the hotel world as well. So I have a bunch of years, credited in the hotel industry, and it's great to be able to work with my passion. And obviously, April 2020, the pandemic came. March
Mm-hmm.
2020, the pandemic came, and I was furloughed, just like so many people. I mean, obviously, as you know, the travel industry was in shambles and still is recovering from being in shambles. So I was devastated when it happened. Not only for my job because I loved my job so much, but also because this industry that I loved so much, hotels and travel and hospitality, was floundering, and it looked like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. So with this floundering, I knew I wanted to support hotels during a time when they needed love most. And that's when I came up with the idea for Hotels Above Par. And I wanted them to feel relevant. I wanted them to feel talked about. And so what started as just highlighting hotels on Instagram turned into what it is today, that around 300 word article or around 300 word article format where we have journalists come write for us who curate guides. I've done an IG live series. It actually also led to my own travel segment in Spanish. So after hotels, language is my number one passion. So I was able to do a hotels above par travel segment in Spanish on one of Mexico's leading radio networks. So I'm so fortunate for
That is
all the
cool.
success I've seen and how it's grown. Today, we just had our first birthday. We have over 63,000 Instagram followers, over 17,000 in newsletter subscribers, and over
That's awesome.
22,000 monthly unique visitors. So it's been amazing. I absolutely love it. And yeah, so now I'm doing it full time, which is great.
Well, congrats to you. Those are some important milestones. We have sound effects. That's awesome. And I think on Instagram you have something like 60,000 followers. That's great. And they're engaged followers. I mean, it doesn't seem like you're, a bot, like a bot buyer or something. There's something good happening here. You have like a real corner on something important. So, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful about it, and it's honestly it's an amazing thing for me to be able to share my passion with people every day through Hotels Above Par.
Yeah. Now, one place that we're going to speak on today, and I'll let you introduce it. I'll just let you introduce it. Where are we going today?
Yeah, so we are going to Valle de Guadalupe in the Mexican state of Baja California today. So I must say, I consider myself well versed on this area, not only because I grew up 25 minutes from the border. It's about an hour and a half drive, well, under 2 hours from San Diego to Valle de Guadalupe, but I grew up from next to the Tijuana border, 25 minutes away. So I've gone to Baja California numerous times. And for the second half of 2020, like I said, I had that radio segment, which was in Tijuana and casted in Baja California and San Diego. So I talked about travel within the region a lot there. Um, so yeah, Valle de Guadalupe is this amazing wine region that a lot of people call Mexico's Napa Valley. And I think that people, when we're in being in San Diego and LA, I think a lot of people, if they want to go do a local wine country trip, they go to Santa Ynez Valley, which is, near Santa Barbara, which is absolutely really beautiful, or they go to Temecula. And Valle de Guadalupe is so much more than both of those, in my opinion. I mean, like I said, I'm a sucker for Mexico, but they have a bevy of amazing design forward hotels. They have incredible wineries. The architecture is phenomenal. The food, in my opinion, the food on that side of the border, like in Valle de Guadalupe, Tijuana, like Rosarito, it is better than on this side of the border. It's the best food I've ever had, and Valle de Guadalupe is so known for that. It's really arid,
Mm,
so it's a lot of the time it escapes that coastal fog that you'll get if you're in Rosarito, which is one of the beach towns, or like
mm.
San Diego. So you're guaranteed to probably have a sunny day there, which is very nice.
That is very nice. So I know that you specialize in these 300 word snippets. Can you give us a 300 word snippet on your favorite experience there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say I've had so many amazing experiences there, but I think I'll go with a funny story today. I recently went to Valle de Guadalupe, and I had a really funny thing happen. So I took my one of my best friends is here, and I took her to Valle de Guadalupe, and we went to a restaurant called Bruma Wine Garden. And Bruma Wine Garden is absolutely stunning. It's these wooden rustic tables under these grand eucalyptus trees right next to a winery. Everything is outdoors. And they actually have a croque madame, which is probably the best. And having lived in France, I feel like I have a gauge on the croque madames. Like, this croque madame was the best croque madame I've ever had in my life.
I don't
Uh,
know what a croque madame is.
so it's like bread, and then they have like cheese and ham. And it's in a way like a panini, but then they put like the cheese over it. This one was had like very light potato cream on it, and
Oh.
the bread was just so soft. It kind of tasted like challah a bit.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
and yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, that's not the funny story. Even though this was so good and the croque madame was, um, we asked the bartender. We were like, we're very adventurous. We would love to get any drink that you can conjure up that you think we would like. Like we would love a special, like knock yourself out. We were excited about it. Um,
Was
and
that a good choice?
So then we got the cocktails. I'm a pretty adventurous eater. Like I like to try new things, and like I was in Peru and I ate guinea pig, and I've been in other places and I ate like delicacies that would normally not be eaten here in the U.S. So my friend doesn't, and we got our cocktails, and she picks up her cocktail and she sees that there's something crunchy, atop the cocktail. It kind of makes cocktail look good, and it kind of was a nice plate presentation, if you will, just with this glass. And she picks it up and she's like, "What?" And she realizes it's a grasshopper, and she screams at the top of her lungs. Everybody looks at us in this restaurant. They're just staring at us. These American tourists, like, what the heck, so loud. And my friend is like, "Oh my god, ew, 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 ew!" And so obviously she didn't drink her drink. I drank her drink, and I
It
ate
was on purpose, though.
what?
The grasshopper was on
Yeah,
purpose.
it was on purpose. So there will be times in Mexico where like there's a certain dish that has grasshoppers in it. It's not super common, but it does happen. Just because it can sometimes be a delicacy with certain things. So this grasshopper was intentionally there. I ate the grasshopper, and let me tell you, that grasshopper was actually really good.
Like
It was
peanuts.
It was crunchy. Yeah, it was a little bit peanutty. It was crunchy. It was really good. And I'm not afraid to say I would have another grasshopper if I was down there and have that on top of my cocktail or in my dish.
That's
And I gotta tell you, I wanted to pace myself for the day, so I didn't finish our cocktail. I was just like, you know what, like I guess this one's gonna have to go to like the tour guide or something because like I need to pace. I'm not gonna have a cocktail. Just your grasshopper.
That's a good story. Yeah, I've I've eaten grasshoppers. I've eaten mealworms. I've eaten termites. My university started a university in Kenya, and so we did homestays with some families, and we tried all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I didn't I eating the mealworms because they're live. That's not great.
Well, this wasn't live. It was a dead
Yeah,
grasshopper.
yeah. But
But
then you
how
fry
did
them up.
termites? Curious about that.
I mean, it's not much. I think maybe they all kind of have like a generic peanutty flavor. It wasn't. I don't. I remember being like the texture is what's getting me. The flavor is not repulsive. But yeah, if I had to, I could do it. But I would prefer not to. I prefer not to eat them if I didn't have to. But then I think I eat out enough. I probably eat all kinds of bugs. So. Well, then we are going to pace ourselves and plan this format in a popular format that you write in for Hotels Above Par. And so I would like to do this 1, 2, 3 format that you did, but I realize that we've not actually gotten to your beautiful website. So I'd like to get there real quick. Just take a minute to hit your web page up. So let me just go there now. So this is your beautiful website, which I think the picture rotates regularly. But if you can just imagine this website with gorgeous hotels and all sorts of things on every single page, that's what this looks like. So I just wanted to get us to hotelsabovepar.com. But for now, why don't we start in this 1, 2, 3 format? Will you introduce the 1, 2, 3 format so people also know what to expect when they're on your website?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 1, 2, 3 format is our signature hotels above par format for destination guides, and it features one hotel, two places to eat, and three places to visit within a specific locale. So we did one on Valle de Guadalupe, and it was after doing a trip there. And and before I get into the 1, 2, 3 guide, I just want to say that I to get to Valle de Guadalupe is perfect because you can do it in a day trip. You know, you can go for the day, you can stay for the night. It's a great weekender from San Diego, Los Angeles, Orange County. And what I recommend doing is parking on the U.S. side of the border, and then walking over, and then having the tour guide meet you there, and then drive you for the rest of the day. It's good to be responsible if you are drinking, and it's good to have someone drive you the whole time,
Hmm.
because you also want to enjoy your vacation, and also a lot if you don't speak Spanish, it might be hard to navigate, and you want to stay on your
Sure.
route. So, Baja tour guide, his name is Eric.
Okay.
He's absolutely he's the person that I normally use, and so he helped us create this 1, 2, 3 guide because he is a local to the area. So
Now, let me just break in 1 second. Um, will you help in your opinion? Because I think people are afraid to cross the border. They've heard some stories, and of course, the horrible stories are the things that get news coverage. In your experience, and since you've done this quite frequently, can you describe, the U.S., just the crossing to and the crossing from? What can people expect, especially now if we're recommending that they walk? What should they expect in this crossing of the border?
yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great question. So you'll be parking on the US side, and there's parking lots where you pay, they're guarded. Once again, it's on the US side. You leave your car there and you walk from, let's say, the one parking lot that I always use is about like a 5 to 7 minute walk from the border
Okay.
station. And actually, San Ysidro, Tijuana is the busiest border crossing in the world.
Oh
I
wow.
believe that yeah, I believe that that stat is still intact, but, yeah, at one point, I don't know if it still is, but at one point it definitely was. And what when you walk over to the border, when you go to Mexico, you go through this long passageway, and then you come into this room, and there's Mexican customs officers, and you fill out a form. I actually think that the COVID precautions were a lot more robust in Mexico than in the US. They take your temperature before you come in. They take your temperature. They make sure you're wearing a mask. They sanitize your hands, and in order to pass through, you need to do that. And
Hmm.
at a lot of the places we went to, that was the procedure as well. When I went back into the US, I didn't need a temperature check or anything. But when I went into Mexico, the Mexican authorities did do that, and they
Hmm.
did that for everyone. So when you get to the other side, there's taxis, there are there are the tour guides that you arrange. So like I said, I arranged with Baja tour guide Eric, and he picks us up there and he drives us for the rest of the day. I recommend going with one of these tour guides who have testimonials or all of that, because you want to have a positive border experience, and just like any excuse me, just like any major city, there are areas in like the metropolitan Tijuana area
Hmm.
that are more crime ridden than others. You don't want to go to those areas. And if
Hmm.
you don't know the city, if you don't speak Spanish, that it's a really great choice. It's a really great option to hire a private tour guide to take you around because they know where to go. They're going to take you to the great spots, the local spots, the tourist spots, and they're going to help you stay on that route.
Hmm.
Also, as far as safety goes, just don't do anything that you wouldn't do on this side of the border. I think it's important to be a responsible tourist.
Yes.
Don't consume too much alcohol and do things that you shouldn't be doing. um, don't 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 drink on the street. I mean, just don't do things that you wouldn't do in the US side, and you should be fine. Just being a responsible tourist and being aware of your surroundings, and having an expert really guide you through this experience who's a
Hmm.
local is the main recommendations I would give.
Yeah, this is, I mean, yes. Okay. So I'm glad to hear like this is a somewhat smooth process. It shouldn't be intimidating. Just have good behavior, have good manners, folks. Learn a couple basic phrases maybe in Spanish. That would be great. And we always like to talk about being a good guest on this podcast. So be a good guest whether you're interacting with animals or humans. Just it's yeah, I just want to I've been places and seen Americans do things that I just shudder about. And so yeah, just have good behavior and you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think going to Mexico without that. mentality is something that's important too. Not have this spring break, party, like each get extremely intoxicated. I think that don't do that on your trip to Valle de Guadalupe because it's really about enjoying the culture and the your love of wine and your love of food. It's not a place where people are partying and going clubbing during spring break, which is a Mexico that I think a lot of Americans have in mind.
Right. Which is exactly the purpose of this little series that I want to do is to bring to light, I mean, the fullness and the richness of what's available in Mexico beyond, the what Yucatan Peninsula type vacation, which has wonderful things, which we've also featured in this series that are beyond the resorts. But this is great to be on, the other side of the country, if you will. So then, okay, so let's go for this 1, 2, 3 format. Number one, where are we staying?
So we're staying at Encuentro Guadalupe,
Hmm.
which is this design forward hotel that's built into a mountainside.
Oh, I have
Uh,
a picture. Let's get to it.
yeah, absolutely. So that's Bruma, which is the next place I'll be showing. This is Encuentro Guadalupe, so a lot of the rooms are built into boulders. They really use the surrounding landscape as a blueprint for their architecture. I believe Rihanna stayed there at some point, which is
Ooh,
really cool.
yeah.
Uh, and they have these really interesting individual tiny house suites with these gorgeous, gorgeous floor to ceiling windows
Yeah.
that peer out to the valley and that peer out to the all the wineries. They have a really cool bar and restaurant. Yes, I love that shot. They have, I think it really shows the property in a great light and what it really looks like. They have a bar and a restaurant which is built into the boulder as well. It peers out in the valley and it's under the lobby. It's absolutely stunning. They have a really cool um, hidden wine cave
Oh,
that people can get access to. I think you need to arrange it before, and then they have like a table for two there. It's absolutely amazing. The hotel is really contemporary. It's really upmarket,
mm-hmm.
and Mexico is actually it is one of the most design for like I know I keep on saying this, but design forward places in the world. You have incredible architects blueprinting these different hotels,
Yeah.
restaurants, homes all around the country, and you really see an amazing example of this beautiful Mexican contemporary, modern architecture with this hotel.
Yeah. And then let's talk about, I mean, is that what we want to say for number one? Do we want to move on to our two places to dine?
Yep, absolutely. I think we can go over to the two places to dine. You ready for it?
Okay. Yep. I'm ready for it. I'm just going to get now to, are we starting with Bruma?
Yes. Or we will start with fauna. So
Fauna. Wait.
fauna,
Yes?
but so we don't have a picture of fauna here, but fauna is a amazing, amazing restaurant. I'm gonna have to say it's probably one of the best restaurants I've ever been in my life. It's known as one of Mexico's best restaurants as well. It is, farm to table dining, and it looks over the valley with all the vineyards. The chef there is David Castro Husong, who is really celebrated. I I had they I Whenever I go there, I've been there numerous times because I always keep on going back.
Mm-hmm.
But they have this lamb dish that they serve with tortillas. It is absolutely phenomenal. The lamb is just braised. It's so good. It just tastes so salubrious, and it tastes like there's really an honesty in that cooking. It came straight from a local ranch or straight from a local farm. They have this broccoli dish, which is like the best broccoli you've ever had in your life. And I know that doesn't sound appealing, but let me tell
I was going to
you,
say, this is a
so
compliment.
yes, definitely. And they have a great dessert menu, and they have this drink called a carujillo,
Mm-hmm.
where which is basically a liqueur with coffee. It's really really good, and it's the perfect way to finish off your meal. There's a couple other things in it, but I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what those are.
Well, people are just going to
But
have to go and find out for
people
themselves.
are,
That's just how that
people are-
goes.
exactly, people are going to have to go and find out themselves, and trust me, they will absolutely love it. And like I said, the food is incredible. The service in Mexico is phenomenal too.
Hmm.
So what's also something that I love about the garden there is the outdoor area. There's this place where they have all the plants and the leaves and like all these flowers. They source a lot of their vegetables from that garden that's right next to your table. So
Oh.
like I said, it goes back to that honest cooking and that farm to table, overall entirety that it encompasses.
Yeah.
So, and the next restaurant is Casa Frida, which we can show
Okay.
on the
Yes, we
one
can.
flowers.
Boom. Oh, no. Hold on. I pressed the button. It didn't go. There we go.
It's Casa Frida. So Casa Frida is very, very cool. It's definitely a vibe. If you're looking for that vibe and a place just to kind of a lounge, to have a good cocktail, to have a nice meal, the music's pumping. It's a really hit place, and they have about four restaurants
Mm.
that four individual ones, and they have one that's on this lake and it's built into the riverbed, and so they have these individual dining pods like where you have to take a passage to, all punctuated throughout the riverbed, so it's a really cool intimate experience. And then one of the restaurants is this beautiful space. It's also a bar where they have paintings of Frida Kahlo, who the restaurant is named after, and they have paintings of her, they have mosaics, they have really cool colorful Mexican art, and they have this beautiful flower wall at the back, and this flower wall is full of, as you can see, these beautiful plants, and
Are they
just
fresh?
I can't remember if they're fresh, but they
It looks
were.
like they are because those ones in the middle are kind of like a little wilty, like to the bottom left of your profile. It looks like they're fresh, and that's amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It's the perfect place to get an Instagram if you're into doing something. It. It's stunning, and like I said, it's a vibe. I like ending my day at the Costa Frida when I go to Valle de Guadalupe. I like ending there for dinner, and then after hanging out at the bar and experiencing their cocktails, and just really soaking up the vibe and the amazing atmosphere that really goes on there with this great music that plays, and just this atmosphere that makes me feel so happy. It makes me feel like just the sense of leisure when you're there. It makes you feel really relaxed and like you're on vacation.
Mm,
So really, I love that about Casa Frida. And dish wise, they have the ceviche, which is absolutely phenomenal. I love ceviche. I mean, I like all Mexican food. I could eat it every day. But
I
yeah, they
do
have
too.
great.
Yeah, and then now that I know that it's on a lake, is it walkable? It's a very British thing, and probably, and we lived in Germany. They do this also, but after your meal, you might walk, like to start your digestion, kind of a thing. And I really like that. Is it a walkable lake?
So it's more. I think that lake was probably exaggeration on my part. It's more a pond. Uh, yeah, like I said, these different dining pods are punctuated throughout the riverbed in this pond. It's walking wise, there with the four restaurants on property. I think that it's really cool to check out all of them. You won't be able to walk around the pond, but you'll be able to walk around the property and see they have this really cool Airbnb that's this like, piercing. It's this piercing blue stucco that it really makes it. It's really an ode to a lot of the traditional Mexican architecture.
Cool.
I really love just checking out the space, and from the interior design to the exterior, walking around the property is as a great experience if you love design.
Yeah, it's right up my alley. My husband will love it too. So then, are we going to move into our three category now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So this section that we have of the guide is the three places to visit. The first place I want to talk about is El Mirador. And this, I have to say, and I'm really fortunate to have been to several places around the world during, my time on this earth. I've been to Greece, I've been to Italy, and I've seen amazing coastlines. This was truly the most beautiful place, at least top three, that I've ever been in my life. El Mirador is
That's a good
when
compliment.
yeah, definitely. And most people don't know about it. It's about an hour and 15 minutes south of the border, right after the beach town of Rosarito. And within this preserve, before you get to Ensenada, right off the toll road, there is this place called, like I said, El Mirador. And it looks exactly like Santorini. It's incredible. There's this coastline with these precipices of amazing just cliffs and beautiful sandy beaches, and the water is a little can be really clear on a sunny day. It's absolutely stunning, and there's nothing on this coastline up and within this view. It is completely untouched. You're not seeing track houses. You're not seeing big resorts. It is pure, pristine, untouched coastline. And I think, and the people who I've taken there, it's one of my favorite places to take people, have thought that yes, this really does feel like you're in the Greek Isles. I think it. I think that it is an extremely underrated place, and like I said, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And the lookout point is all these colorful multi-platform kind of decks. So there's an
Cool.
orange area and there's a pink area, and it just really is kind of a nice nod to the colorful chromatic tones of Mexico.
Awesome. That's so cool. All right. So then what is number two?
Yeah, so number two, obviously, Valle de Guadalupe for its amazing wineries and the incredible wine tasting experiences that one can partake in when they're there.
Let me not
Uh,
skip over my pictures that we have. Did I miss any of the pictures?
So close to Tres Cantos is this one, exactly.
Okay.
What's really cool about close to Tres Cantos is the architecture is Mayan meets medieval France, which is a really interesting yeah, I've never seen anything like it. The space hosts this really amazing, um, these sharp line structures and really cool deserted landscapes. They have a bunch of furniture there, and this furniture, so cool, is recycled, and then they cemented over it, just like this chair you see in the picture. And there's instances of that all throughout the property. I mean, recycled furniture cemented with it bringing on a whole new life and being that cool. Like that's as a designer, that's something that I was really fond of. They
Yeah.
also have great wine and cheese there. I mean, it's a winery. I love their Rosa del Desierto 2019. That is a great one. The cheese is phenomenal as well. It's a great place just to wine, dine. They have the tastings, and yeah, it's a really awesome place to go for an hour, 2 hours, and enjoy the wine and the architecture.
Yeah.
So
I actually looked this place up because I was so fascinated by the furniture and I just want to know how they do it. It's pretty cool. And I mean, it's durable and I mean, it's pretty COVID friendly, right? It's not a plush surface. It's not going to hold the germs. And it just adds this really distinct, like I've traveled quite extensively also. I've never seen anyone do furniture like this. It's cool.
yeah, I've never seen anyone do it like this either. It was just such a incredible thing to see, and I just geeked out with it. I was asking the woman there all these questions. I probably annoyed her about the design. She hey, like, let's wine and like, get done with this. But but yeah, everyone's super friendly. The service was great there, so really recommend it. And if you want to stay there, they have these two beautiful suites,
Mm.
which kind of Airbnbs. I don't know if they're in Airbnbs, but they are rentals, and that's kind of a nice option too. It's really cool cement minimalistic architecture inside.
Oh, neat, neat, neat. So that's two. Are we on three?
Yes, three is Bruma Vinicola, which is really really cool. It's this winery. As you can see, there's this gargantuan tree that sticks out of the front,
Yeah, it's
and
cool.
winery, you walk inside and the whole wine tasting experience is indoor within this glass kind of rotunda. And in the middle of that rotunda is this gargantuan tree, the roots of this gargantuan tree, which is something that is really cool. I haven't seen something like that before. And
So we're
you,
inside in this picture.
so this is outside, but
Okay.
below that tree, below this like water level, this pond that hosts the tree atop, is this circular rotunda below, and that circular rotunda is all glass, and that the roots of that tree are in the middle.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, really, really cool. And like I said, they have really good wine. It's right next to Fauna. So if you can knock out a tour there and then go to Fauna right after for lunch or for a late lunch, dinner, whatever you want.
Mm.
Uh, and yeah, it being set around the tasting room being set around this cool piece of petrified wood is something really unique. And like I said, it again just really speaks to the amazing architecture that not a lot of people know about when it comes to Mexico.
Yeah, and I feel like just in an effort to build things in a price point, on a budget, all those sort of things, we lose a lot of this often in people's pursuit of, the business isn't the thought of, what you're building into your business is maybe like the service. It's not necessarily the atmosphere. But I feel like these places you've suggested have really, as you've mentioned, forward thinking. That part of wanting to be there is this cool design concept, and it feels, I don't know, I feel like I would be like feel really romantic and all this sort of, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
not.
no,
I don't
if
know
you
how to
are,
describe it, but I think you might get it.
well, you should definitely go with your husband as a romantic trip. Speaking of romance, it's a very romantic place, and they have a lot of couples offerings at these different places. So if you are looking for a weekender with your significant other, whoever's listening to this, I highly recommend a trip to Valle de Guadalupe.
Yeah, so you mentioned Temecula. We're actually going to be in Temecula this summer. My husband is officiating a wedding. So,
Oh, well,
but we booked a little extra time, and I don't know how far of a drive it would be. But we were talking about doing some side trips, if you will, because this will be our first time really traveling since our transatlantic move, and we'll also have childcare. So,
oh, amazing. Well, you should go to Valle de Guadalupe with Baja tour guide. From Temecula, it should be about 2 hours,
oh,
two and a
that's
half
not
hours.
bad.
Yeah, from Temecula to the border, it's about an hour, and then from the border to Valle de Guadalupe, it's about an hour and a half, just
Oh,
under 2.
we'll have to talk. This is interesting because yeah, this is exciting. And also, I've mentioned this on the podcast, but you don't probably know this. My husband has because he has family actually on the eastern side of Mexico. Just about half of his family is in Mexico. But I've never been to Mexico, not even to the resort properties. So we've always just been pointed to Europe, or I've pointed to Africa or England. I've never gone that far. So this could be an exciting, just over the border adventure.
Yeah, totally, and you can make it a daycation. You can just go for 12 hours during the day if you don't feel like spending the night. So, yeah, it's
Oh,
an adventure.
cool. I didn't realize it was that close to Temecula. This is exciting for me. Well, I mean, at the end of my podcast, I like to give my guests just kind of a freestyle space where you can do whatever you like, say whatever you like, and if we've missed anything, you're free to include it. So that's the point we're at now. So this is your time, Brandon. What would you like to say?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you to everyone who's listening to this podcast today. Definitely follow Hotels Above Par. I'd love to hear from you guys. We definitely want to, further expand our community of hotel and travel enthusiasts, and to be able to share my passion each day with other people who have a passion for travel and hotels is incomparable. So, yeah, definitely keep up with us. And Travel Radio is an awesome podcast, and you've done such a great job, Megan, with all of this. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being on the podcast. I hope that we find some way to collaborate again in the future. It's been wonderful to have you and to, share your expertise with the listeners. And again, if you're just listening, you can go ahead onto the YouTube channel and find Brandon's interview there. Okay. This is Megan Chapa, host of Trap. Wait, did you have one more thing?
No, I was just gonna say gracias.
Gracias.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Please. All right. This is Megan Tappa, host of Travel Radio Podcast, saying thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you want to subscribe to mine or Brandon's products, that'd be fantastic. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.